3 years into my arranged marriage, I accidentally got added to an elite socialite group chat. Urgent need to know which hotel the Manhattan Prince Michael Davidson is staying at in Chicago. Big reward, SOS. Turns out this was a networking group for socialites with one goal: to win over Manhattan's most eligible bachelor, Michael Davidson. I touched my chin and texted Michael, "Honey, which hotel are you staying at in Chicago?" "The Grand Hyatt." Michael replied instantly. I posted the hotel name in the group chat. Within seconds, I received a $10,000 transfer. In 3 years of marriage, Michael and I had exchanged less than 10 sentences. The first was on our wedding night when he raised his glass and said, "Let's keep this mutually beneficial and stay out of each other's way." I replied instantly, "Sounds good, husband." For the next 3 years, I followed that rule religiously. Michael traveled constantly for work and rarely came home. So when I got added to that socialite group, my first reaction wasn't anger. It was curiosity. The group was called Manhattan Elite Beauties with about 200 members. Every profile picture was a perfectly curated selfie, and their social media was all yoga poses and beach occasions. When I joined the group, admin Vivian was posting an announcement: urgent need, Manhattan Princess Chicago hotel location. Big reward. Hell, this was my backup WeChat account, with a blurry college selfie as the profile picture. I hadn't logged in for years. I had no idea who added me, but I immediately saw a business opportunity. My husband's hotel location, that's just one text away. After getting the hotel name on my main account, I switched to my backup. And in the group, I know the chat exploded within seconds. The admin sent me a friend request. I accepted. Vivian, real or fake, at Crazy Like Kicker. If you're lying, I'll kick you out. Crazy Like Kicker real. Grand Hyatt, Chicago. No response. I thought for a moment and added money back guarantee if wrong. The admin immediately transferred $10,000 with a message: "I trust you." I accepted the payment and touched my chin. This could be a real business. After marrying Michael, he gave me a supplementary credit card for all my expenses. But everyone has hobbies they can't share publicly, like premium subscriptions to certain websites. 3 years later, I'd burned through my dowry money, but now things were different. As long as I maintained my connection to Michael, I could monopolize this business. Zero startup costs. I was determined to make this business bigger and stronger. The next day, the admin posted in the group, "Ladies, confirmed Michael Davidson was indeed at the Grand Hyatt last night. That crazy leg kicker is legit. Highly recommended." The chat went wild. "OMG, girl, you're a genius. Please take me under your wing. Can you give me priority access next time? I'll pay extra. Are you an insider? You can get Michael Davidson's private schedule." I looked at the messages and smiled. More than an insider, I could get more inside than this. Someone asked the admin to share details about last night. Vivian girls, I sat at the table next to him during dinner. That Patek Philippe on his wrist was worth at least $2 million. The group erupted in excitement. Then what happened? Vivian? I spilled coffee on him on purpose, trying to clean it up and get his no contact info. Vivian. But he just frowned and walked away without even looking at me. The chat filled with sighs of disappointment. Seeing the low morale, the admin tried to rally everyone. "Don't ladies, now that we have insider information, we can definitely win Michael over Vivian." According to reliable sources, Michael has no feelings for his arranged marriage wife, and they're getting divorced soon. Stay strong. We can do this. I raised an eyebrow. I'm getting divorced? How did I not know this? Before I could think more, another group member sent me a friend request. Her profile picture showed her holding a Hermes Birkin bag, clearly wealthy. After accepting, she got straight to the point. "Do you know Michael's schedule for tomorrow? I'll pay whatever you ask." Without hesitation, I switched my main account and texted Michael. I had to be careful with my wording, not too abrupt, not too frequent. I'd asked about his hotel yesterday. Asking about his schedule today might raise suspicions. After thinking, I took an indirect approach. "Honey, how's the weather in Chicago? I'm thinking about coming to visit you." This showed I cared. While setting up for follow-up questions, Michael took about 2 minutes to reply with just 4 words. "What would you come for?" "I miss you." I got goosebumps sending that. In 3 years of marriage, I never said anything like that to him. But this time Michael replied almost instantly. "Chicago is 75 degrees and sunny." Then a few seconds later, "You want to come? I'll have my assistant book your flight." I quickly backtracked. "No need. I was just asking what's your schedule tomorrow. If you're too busy, I won't come tomorrow. At 3 p.m., I have a meeting at Chicago headquarters. And dinner plans in the evening." Michael replied, "Perfect." With the exact information I immediately sent it to the wealthy woman. But this time she made a request. Name your price, but don't share this information with anyone else. Regular information was $10,000 per tip, but exclusive information should cost more. I thought for a moment, deal one-time price, $100,000. The following days felt like I had cheat codes. The group posted bounties daily from Michael's schedule, hobbies, favorite restaurants, coffee preferences, to his current business deals and upcoming appearances. Everything had a price. Rewards ranged from thousands to hundreds of thousands. As Michael's wife, I had exclusive access to first-hand information and became the group's most, but after mysterious insider. In half a month, I made $300,000. Despite feedback that Michael seemed cold and distant, the ladies in the group were more enthusiastic. Each day, I felt completely justified. They're chasing my husband. So, as his wife, shouldn't I collect an information fee? But as I shared more information, Michael started acting strange. After subtly asking about his schedule, once I casually asked what he had for breakfast, he actually sent me a photo of his meal. Michael, this hotel's Egg Benedict is pretty good. Somehow I got goosebumps again. I should make that for you sometime. Honey, where are you staying tonight? Michael sent me an address. I copied the address and switched to my backup account. This bounty was worth $30,000. And the woman on the other end was getting anxious. After I hadn't replied for 10 minutes, after receiving my message, she promptly transferred $30,000. After accepting the payment, I casually glanced at the address. The next second, my eyes widened in shock. This was my own home address. I stared at the screen until the glowing pixels began to blur. 1440, Ridgeview Drive. My own house. The sprawling, ultra-modern fortress in the Hamptons that Michael and I had supposedly shared for the past 3 years, though he was rarely here. To share it, the $30,000 sat comfortably in my secondary WeChat wallet, but the notification mockingly pulsed on my screen. I had just sold my own home address to a desperate, Birkin-toting socialite who thought my husband was single. Worse, she was currently en route. My fingers flew across the keyboard, swapping back to my crazy leg kicker burner account. Crazy leg kicker. Wait. Typo. Wrong address. Do not go there. Crazy leg kicker. He changed plans. I'll refund the money. Send me your routing number. A minute passed. The typing bubble appeared, then vanished. Finally, a response popped up. Serena, Birkin bag, nice try, sweetie. Did someone else offer you $50,000 to keep me away? Vivian warned me you might try to double-cross. I'm already pulling up to the gates. The lights are on. My blood ran cold. I sprinted to the floor-to-ceiling windows of my master bedroom and peered down at the long, sweeping driveway. Sure enough, a sleek, uber-black SUV was idling outside the wrought iron gates. And coming up, the private road, right behind it, was the unmistakable silver gleam of Michael's Aston Martin. Oh my God. They were arriving at the exact same time. Panic, foreign and acidic, bubbled in my throat. I had run this hustle flawlessly. I was the Wolf of Wall Street in the Manhattan Elite Beauties chat. But now, my two worlds were colliding on my literal doorstep. I didn't bother changing out of my oversized cashmere lounge set. I sprinted down the grand curved staircase, my bare feet slapping against the imported marble, praying I could intercept this lunatic before my husband realized his wife was running a black market intelligence ring centered entirely around his existence. I yanked the heavy mahogany front door open just as the doorbell chimed. Standing on the limestone porch was the woman from the profile picture. She was stunning in the most aggressive way possible, poured into a crimson silk slip dress that offered zero defense against the chilly autumn air, a trench coat draped off one shoulder, and a waft of Baccarat Rouge 540 that practically punched me in the sinuses. She looked at me. I looked at her. Her perfectly threaded eyebrows drew together in a frown, her gaze raking over my messy bun and oversized sweater. Oh, she said, her tone dripping with sudden relief and condescension. You must be the housekeeper. Or the nanny. Do they have kids? Whatever. Is Mr. Davidson inside? Tell him Serena is here. I brought the 82 Margot. She hefted a ridiculously expensive bottle of wine. He's not. I started, but the crunch of tires on gravel cut me off. Michael's Aston Martin rolled to a smooth halt right behind her dismissed Uber. The driver's side door opened. Out stepped my husband. It had been nearly 3 months since I'd seen him in person. The photos in the group chat didn't do him justice. Michael Davidson moved with a quiet, lethal grace. He was wearing a charcoal-tailored suit, the jacket unbuttoned, his tie loosened just enough to hint at exhaustion. He paused, his sharp, dark eyes sweeping over the bizarre tableau on his front porch, a woman dressed for a red carpet seduction, and me, looking like a panicked hostage. "Evening," Michael said, his voice a low, resonant baritone that sent an unexpected shiver down my spine. Serena whirled around. Her entire demeanor shifted instantly, from haughty socialite to a trembling, delicate flower. "Michael. Oh my goodness, what a coincidence. I was just in the neighborhood, and—" "In the neighborhood?" Michael interrupted smoothly, walking up the steps. He dwarfed her in height. "This is a gated private estate at the end of a dead-end road in the Hamptons. You don't just wander into the neighborhood." Serena giggled, stepping entirely into his personal space, deliberately ignoring me. "Well, to be perfectly honest, a little birdie told me you were having a quiet night in. After that exhausting merger in Chicago, I thought you could use some company and some decent wine." Michael's gaze drifted from her flushed face over to me, his eyes locked onto me. There was a glint in them I couldn't quite decipher. Amusement? Anger? "A little birdie," Michael repeated softly. "Yes," Serena preened, emboldened by the fact that he hadn't immediately thrown her off the porch. "A very reliable assistant of yours. Crazy leg kicker." I squeezed my eyes shut. "I'm going to die. I am going to die right here on this imported limestone." "Ah." "Crazy leg kicker," Michael said, tasting the ridiculous name on his tongue. "Fascinating. And what did this assistant charge you for my private residence?" Serena hesitated, sensing a slight trap, but her ego won out. 30,000. "But honestly, Michael, your staff is wildly unprofessional to be selling your schedule. I only bought it to protect you. You should really fire them. Now. Shall we go inside? It's freezing." Michael didn't move. He stood perfectly still, his eyes still fixed entirely on me. "I completely agree," Michael said, his voice dropping an octave. "The staff has gotten incredibly bold. But I'm afraid you've wasted your $30,000, Serena." "What?" "Why?" she pouted, reaching out to touch his lapel. Michael caught her wrist flawlessly before she could make contact. He didn't grip it hard, but the rejection was absolute. "Because I'm not here for a quiet night alone," Michael said softly. He stepped past her, closing the distance between us, and to my absolute shock, his hand slid around my waist. The heat of his palm burned through the thin cashmere of my sweater. "I came home to see my wife." Serena froze. The Baccarat Rouge suddenly smelled a lot like panic. "Your wife?" she stammered, staring at my bare feet and messy hair. "But Vivian said you were getting a divorce. She said your wife was a miserable, frigid ghost who you hadn't spoken to in years." I bristled. "Frigid ghost? I'll kill Vivian." Michael's thumb traced a slow, soothing circle against my hip. The casual intimacy of the gesture scrambled my brain completely. "Vivian is misinformed," he said smoothly. "My wife is quite brilliant, actually. Very entrepreneurial. Now, please leave my property before I have my security team escort you out for trespassing." Serena looked horrified. She opened her mouth, closed it, shot me a look of pure, unadulterated venom, and then turned on her heel. She marched down the driveway, her stilettos sinking slightly into the gravel, tapping furiously on her phone, undoubtedly to demand her Uber back, or to blast me in the group chat. Michael waited until she reached the gates. Then he gently guided me backward into the foyer and pushed the heavy door shut until it clicked softly. The silence in the grand entryway was deafening. I took a step back, breaking contact with his hand. I swallowed hard, my mind racing for an excuse, a lie, anything. "Listen, Michael, I can explain the frigid ghost thing." 30,000, he interrupted. I blinked. "What?" Michael calmly shrugged off his suit jacket and draped it over the back of a chair. He unbuttoned his cuffs and rolled up his sleeves, revealing strong forearms. He didn't look angry. He looked like a predator who had finally cornered his favorite prey. "She paid you $30,000 for my home address?" he asked, walking slowly toward me. How did you know it was you?" Michael laughed, a genuine, rich sound I had never heard in our 3 years of marriage. "Evelyn, on Wednesday you asked what the weather was like in Chicago, and 2 hours later a woman named Clarissa accidentally spilled her martini on my shoes at the exact steakhouse I booked. On Thursday, you asked what I had for breakfast, and when I went down to the lobby for Different women were aggressively eating eggs Benedict while glaring at me. I felt the blood rush to my cheeks. You knew. I figured it out around day 3, he admitted, stopping just inches from me, when my aggressively silent, perfectly obedient wife suddenly developed an intense interest in my itinerary. I checked our shared network logs out of curiosity. Saw traffic hitting WeChat constantly. Had my tech guy look into it. Imagine my surprise when I found out you were the mastermind behind a black market syndicate dedicated to pimping me out. I was not pimping you out. I protested indignantly, crossing my arms. I was monetizing an untapped market. Do you know how much disposable income these women have? It was basically a wealth tax. I was doing a public service. Right. Robin Hood in Kashmir, he said drily. He leaned back against the console table, crossing his ankles. So, how much? How much what? How much have you made off my ass in the last 3 weeks, Evelyn? I looked at the floor, suddenly feeling like a scolded child. 340,000. Michael choked on a laugh. He rubbed his face with his hands. 340 grand. You sold my gym schedule, my flight numbers, my coffee orders. Evelyn, you sold the fact that I'm mildly allergic to macadamia nuts for $8,000. It was exclusive medical history. I defended, looking up. I had to charge a premium. You are unbelievable, he said, but his eyes were warm. Too warm. I uncrossed my arms, feeling the defensive wall I'd built for 3 years starting to crack. If you knew, why did you play along? Why did you tell me you were coming home tonight? Michael's smile faded. The teasing banter vanished, replaced by a heavy, sudden gravity. He looked at me, really looked at me, taking in my messy hair, my flushed cheeks, the anxiety in my eyes. Because, he said quietly, it was the most you've spoken to me since our wedding night. The words hung in the air, pulling the oxygen out of the room. You told me to stay out of your way, I whispered, the old resentment finally bleeding into my voice. You raised your glass of champagne and said, let's keep this mutually beneficial and stay out of each other's way. So I did. I stayed out of your way. Michael sighed, dragging a hand through his dark hair. I was an idiot. A proud, intimidated idiot. I was 26. My father had just forced me into an arranged marriage with the sharpest, most beautiful woman I had ever met, and you looked at me like I was a piece of furniture you couldn't wait to put in storage. You didn't even smile during the vows, Evelyn. I thought you despised the arrangement. I thought giving you distance was what you wanted. I was nervous. I shot back, my voice echoing in the foyer. I was 23. You were the terrifying prodigy of the Davidson empire. You scowled through the entire reception. When you offered that deal, I thought you were disgusted by me. I agreed, so I wouldn't look pathetic. Michael stared at me, the revelation hitting him like a physical blow. 3 years, he muttered. 3 years of avoiding my own damn house because I thought my wife couldn't stand the sight of me. And then I joined a group chat called Manhattan Elite Beauties, I said, a hysterical, breathless laugh escaping me. And capitalized on my misery, Michael added, stepping closer. The space between us vanished again. I had to tilt my head up to look into his eyes. It was a very lucrative misery, I whispered. So I've heard. He reached out, his fingers gently tucking a stray lock of hair behind my ear. His touch was electric, sending a cascade of sparks down my spine. Tell me something, crazy leg kicker. When you read the message that said, I was divorcing you, how did that make you feel? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I couldn't lie. Not anymore. I hated it, I admitted softly. I almost gave Vivian a bad tip just to get her hit by a bus. Michael's lips curved into a slow, devastating smile. Good to know my wife has a violent streak. His hand moved to the back of my neck, his thumb resting against my pulse point. It was racing. I'm not divorcing you, Evelyn. Not now. Not ever. I finally got you talking. I'm not letting you go back to silence. What are you going to do then? I challenged, though my voice was embarrassingly breathy. First, he murmured, leaning in until his lips brushed against my ear. I'm going to kiss you. I've been waiting 3 years to do it properly. And second, we're going to scam the absolute hell out of that group chat. Before I could even process the absurdity of his second statement, his mouth found mine. It wasn't a tentative, exploratory kiss. It was an explosion. 3 years of repressed tension, unspoken attraction, and mutual stubbornness shattered the moment our lips met. I gasped, and he used the opportunity to pull me flush against his chest. My hands found their way into his hair, gripping tightly as he walked me backward until my back hit the wall. The kiss was deep, demanding, and fiercely possessive, erasing every ounce of the cold, untouchable billionaire I thought I had married. When he finally pulled away, we were both breathless. I stared at him, my chest heaving. "Wow," I whispered. "Yeah," Michael agreed, his forehead resting against mine. "We're definitely not staying out of each other's way anymore." The next morning, sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the master suite. I woke up tangled in a mess of expensive Egyptian cotton sheets, every muscle in my body aching in the most satisfying way possible. I rolled over. Michael was already awake, propped up against the headboard. He was shirtless, looking criminally handsome, and typing away on my phone. "What are you doing?" I croaked, sitting up and pulling the sheet to my chest. He glanced over, a wicked smirk on his face. "Taking over the family business." I scrambled over and looked over his shoulder. He had the WeChat app open. The Manhattan Elite Beauties group was in absolute chaos. Vivian, admin girls, Serena is inconsolable. She went to the address and said. Michael threw her out. He was there with a woman. User 8829. What? Who? Serena. Birkin bag, it was his wife. The housekeeper wasn't a housekeeper. Crazy leg. Kicker set me up. I want my $30,000 back. Vivian, admin at Crazy Leg Kicker. Explain yourself right now, or you are banned. Michael chuckled softly. They're very aggressive, aren't they? Michael, don't. I warned, though I was already laughing. He ignored me. He lifted my phone, wrapped his free arm around my bare shoulders, pulled me against his chest, and angled the camera. Smile, partner, he said. Click. The selfie was objectively devastating. Michael looked impossibly smug, his bare shoulders on full display, while I was pressed against him, my hair a glorious bedhead mess, laughing into his neck. He attached the photo to the chat and typed a message. Crazy leg kicker. Sorry ladies, market closed. The husband is permanently off the market. No refunds. He hit send. We watched the screen for exactly 10 seconds. The chat froze. Not a single person typed. I could practically hear the collective shrieks of 200 socialites across Manhattan. Before anyone could formulate a response, Michael calmly hit the group settings, scrolled to the bottom, and pressed delete and leave. He tossed the phone onto the nightstand and pulled me back down under the covers, wrapping himself tightly around me. There, he murmured, his lips pressing a warm kiss against my collarbone. Competition eliminated. Now you owe me a cut of that $340,000. I believe a 50-50th split is standard for a mutually beneficial arrangement. I laughed, tangling my legs with his. In your dreams, Davidson. You're the inventory. I'm the CEO. You get an allowance. Is that so? He whispered, rolling over and pinning me beneath him, his dark eyes flashing with a familiar, dangerous heat. We'll see about that. And for the first time in 3 years, I knew exactly where my husband was going to be for the rest of the day.